Up next, we have our final speaker, and I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Bill Cole. He's the chair of the President's Council Science Board, and he's going to provide us with an update. Dr. Cole is professor of epidemiology and kinesiology at the University of Texas Health Center at Houston and the University of Texas in Austin. Prior to this appointment, he served as lead epidemiologist and team leader in the physical activity and health branch of the Division of Nutrition and Physical Activity at the Centers for Disease and Control and Prevention in Atlanta. He is the founding president of the International Society for Physical Activity and Health, and he is currently co-editor of the Journal of Physical Activity and Health. Please welcome Dr. Bill Cole.
Thank you very much, Dominique, members of the council, Shelley. It's a pleasure to be here representing 13 experts from around the country in the area of the science that supports your work every day. And on their behalf, I want to thank you all very much for your leadership. I'm sitting here listening all morning, and I've been working in this area for 30 years or so now. And we are now finally talking about physical inactivity as a public health problem. And when we frame it like that, we start to hear words like partnerships and bringing your individual foundations and your teamwork together to addressing something that affects everybody across a lifespan, in all walks of life, and access to places, as Jane so eloquently has put it, to be physically active. And to me, that's very heartening because I believe physical inactivity is every bit of a problem as tobacco use in this country and in developed countries around the world. We have to start thinking like that, and thank you all very much for your leadership to do that. Zach's already on this. Thank you, Zach. We are an advisory board, for you new members, we're an advisory board, or advisory committee to the President's Council. Our job is to specifically seek out and distribute and even in some cases generate the best science possible for you to do your work better and for us to achieve that goal of addressing physical inactivity as a public health problem. In the last year, we've tried to organize ourselves to meet those objectives. Even though the Science Board has been around for a long time, under the leadership of the previous chair, Dr. Miriam Nelson, we realized that we didn't really know what our roles and responsibilities were. And with her leadership, we were able to take that on, figure out where our niche is as an advisory board to the council, and make sure that we knew where we should be and where we shouldn't be in the system. So that I think was a big step forward, and tribute to Dr. Nelson for handling that. We talked a lot about adult physical activity and older adult physical activities, a lot of inspirational stories today. One of the things we've been working on the council's behalf is generating a list of recommendations that would update the President's Council Adult Fitness Test, which is something Shelley's been pushing for some years. To her leadership credit, it's a big step forward because it's not just about kids. Obviously, no one's against kids, but we also need to be for adults and make this a priority for adults as well. So last year, the fitness test was totally revamped, made current with the most up-to-date literature in terms of tests, cut points, and a variety of other kind of things, so where people can voluntarily measure and monitor their fitness, because if it's not important, you're not going to measure it, and we think it's obviously important. So the adult fitness test is meant to do that. And then we translated that. Actually, we'll get a peek at it tomorrow, the first look at it, to an online administration. Different people have helped with putting the cut points and the test administration tips and other kind of things together, so this can be done at home or in community settings, a variety of other places like that, online. And it's really quite a lovely interface, if you will. I didn't think I'd ever sit here and use the word lovely, but it is a very effective interface to be able to, and I think it's going to help people to measure and monitor their own fitness levels. One of the things that we are most proud of, I think you have it in your briefing book, has been in the last year a revamp of the old President's Council Fitness Digest into something that's just a terrific public consumption piece called Elevate Health, and it's totally redesigned. It was launched in March 2014 with this new look and feel, a very online, user-friendly look and feel. That I think should be very proud of. Jeff Mechanic has been the lead on that as the editor-in-chief. These are all online and available at fitness.gov, the back issues and so forth. But I think it presents this as a much more contemporary and a much more accessible piece where each quarter, a new topic of interest backed by what the Science Board thinks is important to get out in front of the public is presented. This particular one is noteworthy, as we had the roundtable this morning, fascinating roundtable today on youth sports, and this is a special edition that we actually published 5 this year instead of 4 to be able to get this one in time for the roundtable and in time to inform you all as well as others about the interest in this area. The particular piece here was published from Michigan State University, and it came up. We've talked a lot about over the course of time. Yeah, there are negative aspects. I agree with you 100%. That concussions are in focus, but it's a small minority. The health benefits and other benefits of physical activity far outweigh the risks, whether it's cardiovascular, musculoskeletal, or other kinds of things, and we have to keep working on that. But people have also talked about the negative social and perhaps psychological benefits, risks associated with sports participation, particularly in youth. And so Dan Gould and his group from Michigan State put this white paper and this issue of elevated health together specifically to address that. And I urge you to take a look at it. There are 4 key recommendations which fit really quite nicely into the discussion this morning. First, we all should increase efforts to justify sports participation because of the social and psychological benefits, not just the health benefits or other things, but the literature, the scientific literature is now becoming pretty clear that the social and psychological benefits to sports participation, physical activity in sports are far outweighing any possible risks. What we do know is that it's not infectious, though. It doesn't just happen. And programs that specifically target these things and not just wait for them passively to happen are more effective. So that's the second recommendation. We heard a lot about coaches and program leaders and mentors and so forth. The third recommendation of this report is that educating and informing coaches about goals like this and about these benefits make better programs, much more effective programs. And then fourth, something that's close to my passion, if you will, is we've got to evaluate effectiveness better. We still don't have the best science here. We've evaluated what science is there, and we've got to continue to monitor this beyond just winning and losing and the things we've talked about this morning, but things such as confidence, self-esteem, teamwork, social skills, character building, and things like that are all these psychological and social benefits that are starting to emerge. You all, as leaders in the country and the world, personally, I'm sure have experienced some of those things. Sometimes the science follows a little bit more slowly personal experience, and I think if we're able to bring those data to bear on this, we'll have, I think, an even stronger voice for what we're doing. So I'd urge you to take a look at this report. It's really topical and I think very timely. The next slide here. What are we doing upcoming and ongoing? We've got several things that have been mentioned, and I don't want to stand between anyone and lunch, which I think is coming up. But we are working, a member of the science board, Dr. Jim Rimmer from the University of Alabama, is working, as has been mentioned, for the Research Forum and Health and Fitness for Americans with Disabilities in this room, in this great hall, on the 7th. We heard this morning about the dietary guidelines for Americans from Dr. Wright from HHS. There are a companion set of physical activity guidelines for Americans, the first of which were published in 2008. And we, as a science board, are helping support the development of, in a working group, about exploring what the 10-year update for the physical activity guidelines is going to look like. Physical activity obviously goes way beyond obesity and energy balance into a variety of other health outcomes. As we all know, the physical activity guidelines are designed to point that out, update the best science around those recommendations. You may have heard 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity or 75 minutes a week of vigorous intensity physical activity. Those have come from the 2008 Physical Activity Guidelines for Americans. And then finally, 3 other projects that are in varying stages of completion. We've activated a nutrition and behavioral health working group. There is some evidence and some inquiry about the role that nutrition may play in mental illness and substance abuse. And there's a working group led by Penny Chris Etherton on our group to put together a white paper to see what the literature says in that, what science says in that, and where the council might be able to help work in that. We heard a lot about the active aging area today. We're working to support that effort from a scientific standpoint. And then finally, Sharon Shields, who I think is in the meeting with us today, is helping us lead back into the schools area an inquiry about where the training opportunities lie for classroom teachers, for physical activity. We talk about school as a hub. Let's Move Active Schools as a hub for helping kids meet the 60 minutes a day guideline. How are we going to train classroom teachers to help us support that? Whether it's 10-minute breaks or whether it's brain breaks or these other kind of things. Where are those opportunities? Where are the holes? How can the council help us plug those holes is what we're looking into that in that project. Next year's report, I think, will have updates on all of those and probably more, as Shelley doesn't just crack the whip on you all, she cracks the whip on us. No, equal opportunity. I'd be happy if we have time to take a few questions, but thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you so much, Bill, for your report and your valuable insight. We very much appreciate it. Well, I want to take this time now to thank my fellow council members and our tremendous speakers, our partners, and our guests for being here with us all today. And I want to acknowledge everyone watching online. Be sure to visit fitness.gov and follow us on Twitter @fitnessgov. And as Shelley pointed out earlier, we would love to hear any questions or any feedback that you may have. So please email us at fitness@hhs.gov. Thank you all for coming to the meeting. The meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.